Okay, so one of you will want to get in the corner of that chair, and one of you will want to get here. So that's what you can see.
Alright.
Now we can shut the door.
Alright. Okay, we're going?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually have something to talk about this time, as opposed to something relatively trivial.
Okay.
So earlier it wasn't even this week, it might have been last week, I don't know, I've lost track of all time at this point in the semester. I had this girl who I used to be with really a long time ago contact me just out of the blue. I probably haven't talked to her in 2 years, more than 2 years. And it was someone I was really close with for a while. And it just kind of threw me for an emotional loop that just out of nowhere she would contact me. It brought back a lot of stuff, a lot of baggage that I carry with me from that, which I still have that baggage. I mean, just the backstory ultimately, we were together for 4 years. I had gotten her a promise ring, I was engagement ring shopping, and I found out that she had cheated on me. I gave her a second chance because there were some mitigating circumstances, and she has her own baggage. Like, she was older, she was divorced, she was in an abusive relationship, so there's some stuff there that I was trying to be really understanding about. And then she cheated on me again, at which point, obviously one thing leads to another, and that's not going to work out anymore.
Right.
But after that, and this was really right in the heart of my previous graduate school time, and it threw me for an emotional thing for a long time that it took a lot of work to get back out of. And so that certainly inhibited grad school the first time. The fact that she just happens to contact me again when I'm back in grad school for something different, and a lot of those emotions that maybe I didn't deal with as well as I could have at the time, all kind of came back rushing. And so there's that, and there's the fact that, I don't have anyone right now, and so combine that with the fact that my sister, even though she's been married for a decade now, she's not going to have kids ever. So, I am the sole hope of my parents to ever have grandkids. And I thought that was happening sooner rather than later back then. That obviously didn't happen. And so, all of this kind of stuff is really just combining all at once this week. And it hasn't been great emotionally this week. And it was out of nowhere.
Yeah, so that seems like a lot.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of things going on with the situation. So what do you want to talk about first? So I heard that there is the emotions of what happened before. I heard there's the fear of you're the sole hope for grandchildren, and that whole paradigm. So what do you want to address first?
Probably the emotions that came back that
Okay.
shouldn't have come back. I seriously, when I say this was a long time ago, I was 22 at the time.
Okay.
By the time it all went to holy hell, I was about 27. And then, she had tried to talk to me a little while after that again, and I just ignored her. And it's probably been since about I turned 30 that I hadn't even heard from her. Not a text, not email, nothing. Which for me, that was great.
Right.
We're done. It's not the kind of things where we're remaining friends in each other's lives. No, I want nothing to do with her ever again. But then when she contacted me recently, it all came back. And honestly, I think probably some of it was that I just buried a lot of those feelings and emotions rather than actually confronting them and dealing with them, which obviously rationally I know is the wrong thing to do, but it's just a lot easier to do that than it is to deal with them. And I never thought I'd have to again because I never expected her to contact me, and then boom.
It's always we always know what's best rationally, and after the fact we always know what's best. But it's hard when you're in the moment, when you're in that scenario. So what you say, all these emotions, what emotions, can you talk about that a little more?
Sadness. So I never thought that she would ever have done that to me.
Right.
I certainly never saw that coming, and like, I'm hard to get to know sometimes, and so for me to really connect to someone like I did with her, we had so much in common, so many shared interests, similar senses of humor. Like, you go right down the checklist, and it was all there. And so, the fact that someone that close and that perfect could do something like that to me, like, I was sad, I was distraught, I felt shame because I know that I made some mistakes in the relationship. I wasn't always, the most sensitive. Like, I never cheated on her, but I wasn't always great emotionally, and that's my own personal problems that I need to deal with and get better at. But so all that kind of stuff just really came rushing back, and I never thought that it was going to come back as strong as it did. And I'm honestly not sure why it came back that strongly, but it did. So that's kind of why I brought this topic up, because I don't really know. And like today at the monument quilt, like obviously, maybe not obviously, but I was never physically violated
Right.
by her, but a lot of the stuff on the quilts that was written, a lot of the emotional aspects of it I could relate to, and so maybe that's kind of why.
So I mean, there are a lot of like emotional triggers to this kind of stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that like you have to relive. So why do you think? So I guess you kind of said you didn't know why like it all like hit you so hard. But I mean, why do you think it like? I don't know. I'm trying to formulate. Why do you think it? Like, why do you think you couldn't just shut her out? Like, because you said before, like, you didn't want to like address it, you didn't want to talk to her. So, like, why do you think it was so difficult?
I think part of it was that I never properly reconciled things back years ago. I just tried to move on and leave it there, and it might have worked if she didn't try and get back in touch with me again. But part of it too probably is that like, so of my core friends like that I grew up with and everything, I'm the only one that either is not married or does not currently have a very serious significant other. Like most of my friends have kids now, and so part of this might be approaching middle age where I'm just like, I'm still, in some ways, not like directly, but like indirectly, I'm still kind of recovering from what happened just in the life cycle side of things, and so that kind of hits a little bit.
I mean, it's difficult because society says there are these life markers, so like you're supposed to be married at a certain time, and like if you're not in line with like those standards, like
Right.
it can be difficult. I mean, so sorry.
No, and so I think part of it too is that, like, so my parents are coming to visit this weekend, which is great. I have a pretty good rapport with my parents, especially my mom. But at the same time, it also kind of reinforced the fact that I don't have anyone right now and nothing is on the horizon. Kids certainly are not in the foreseeable future for me. And so maybe that just all in conjunction with her getting back in contact with me, I think that all kind of just really worked together to make this hit pretty hard.
Right. There's just isn't great timing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It was probably, Murphy's Law, right?
Yeah. Everything.
Everything. Yeah. Everything that can go wrong did go wrong this week.
So, do your parents seem to reinforce this idea of like you should be having kids, you should be like we want grandkids? Like, is there